I'm an attorney. I represent employees.
Joanne, you want to say something? Joanne, you want to say something to the
Yeah,
crowd?
we're here today to say wage theft has got to stop. And we need the sweat bill to do that. Because it's unfair that workers work hard and then have our wages stolen. It's so basic, right? You work, you're supposed to get paid. When with this wage theft running rampant, it just means that any kind of minimum wage increase is meaningless because so many people don't get it. So we are out here today to say, New Yorkers, let's come together, demand that we get sweat.
Yeah. Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
I work with for the cheap labor.
Suzanne, you want to say something? Want to say something to the
Oh,
we're live?
hi. Hey, so we're here today, demand Cuomo to pass a SWAT bill. Since he vetoed it and during the pandemic, the wage gap become much worse. Now the boss also, have more excuses to close down the shop and avoid the responsibility of paying the workers. And now with the state senate and the assembly, that many elected officials are enthusiastic about passing the SWAT bill. So we, demand Cuomo again, to stand with the workers, to pass the SWAT bill.
Do you think we have enough votes to override a veto?
Well, I think many politicians are eager to pass it because they see that how the wage gap how much worse. And of course, we demand as many as votes. But I think now, we're able to do it. Yeah.
Well, good luck to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Vincent, you going to gather the people here? What do you want to do? I don't know. We're going to start working together.
Compañera, vea eso. A Don Luis.
But why did you move? Do you have a
Entonces la por el cuello. Oye, dicen que ponga por acá. ¿Será porque la gente pueda pasar?
Ok, vas a ver mucha gente, camina hacia la tercera avenida.
Hey, this is song Ken. 大家一齊齊口號啊！Stop, wait, step. Stop, 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 wait, step. Hot sweat now. 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 Okay. Sweat. When do we want it? Now. When do we want sweat? When do we want it? Now.
Okay, we're going to get started. Hi, everybody. It's a great turnout today. My name is Joanne Lum from NMAS, and this is
Mi nombre es Gonzalo Cruz.
Workers' Justice Project. We're members of the Sweat Coalition. Everybody here is also part of the Sweat Coalition, securing wages earned against theft. So that's why we're here today. Wage theft. Wage theft is running rampant, and it affects all of us here. Some of us don't get minimum wage or no overtime or no tips, and some of us are told we're independent contractors, but actually the boss is telling us what to do and cheating us of our wages. Some of us work 24-hour shifts and only get paid for 13. This is all wage theft. It's a crime. It's the biggest theft crime in this country. It's more than car theft, robberies, mugging, all that combined. But why is it happening more and more, even during this pandemic? It's outrageous, right? Work is supposed to get paid. It's basic. But this is not happening bosses often shut down, change names, declare bankruptcy, or they hide their assets. And then they say, I have no money. And then the workers, what happens? They are left with just a piece of paper, a decision, a judgment, and no money. This has got to stop. That's why we need to organize. We need to call for the sweat bill. And our bill sponsors are here with us today who will speak to this. What sweat will do is sweat will let us, from the beginning of a case, put a lien on the property, including the business of our boss, freeze his or her assets until the investigation is done, so that there's money still there at the end of our case that we can collect. This is what we need, right? To get our stolen wages so that we can at least have the minimum. And then we can organize for more, right? So, okay, I'm going to turn it over to Paulo in Spanish, and then we'll introduce the speakers.
Gracias. Buenos días. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Ok, buenos días. Estamos aquí hoy presentes todos porque el robo de salario está afectando a toda la comunidad, ¿verdad? Con las faltas de pago, los trabajadores están trabajando cada día más, 12 horas, no reciben su tiempo extra, les dan cheques que no tienen fondos, ¿verdad? Y hoy en día estamos protegiendo a todos los trabajadores y trabajadoras en las industrias desde construcción, trabajadoras domésticas, deliveristas también, ¿verdad? Que estamos sufriendo el robo de salario. Cada día en nuestra comunidad hay más personas que vienen a nuestras oficinas a quejarse sobre el robo de salario. Trabajadores han trabajado más de 12 horas y no se les paga el tiempo extra. Eso es un crimen. Hoy tenemos que llamar la atención al gobernador Cuomo para que pase y sea ley SWET, ¿verdad? Esta ley permitirá que al someter un caso al Departamento de Labor se ponga un embargo a la propiedad de los contratistas y de los malos contratistas. Por eso estamos aquí, para pasar SWET. También tenemos el apoyo de nuestras senadoras y representantes, Jessica Ramos y Linda Rosendale, que están apoyando este bill, que estamos aquí para pedir justicia, ¿verdad? El robo de salario debe de parar en nuestra comunidad. No podemos permitir que esto siga pasando. Esta es la explotación moderna que está existiendo, ¿verdad? En el estado de Nueva York hay millones de dólares perdidos porque los trabajadores reciben, al final de un paso, reciben una hoja diciendo, has ganado tu caso, ¿verdad? Pero tu dinero nunca lo vas a volver a ver, ¿verdad? Porque el contratista o el dueño del negocio ha cambiado, ha ido a bancarrota, ¿verdad? Entonces, por eso es que hoy estamos exigiendo al gobernador Cuomo que pase el Big Swag. ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? Gracias y bienvenidos a todos. Y tenemos a la compañera Silvia Gastón de NICE, que nos va a dar unas palabras.
Hola a todos, pues aquí estoy también luchando y peleando porque pase la ley WAP y que ya no sigan los empleadores empleando a los trabajadores sin pagarles, que eso no es justo. Yo fui 2 veces tratado de robarme el robo de salario, me robaron, pero me pagaron. ¿Y saben por qué? Porque aquí yo les digo algo, organización como NICE nos ha empoderado, nos está enseñando a cómo reclamar nuestro salario, nuestros derechos como trabajadores, para que no seamos burlados y que para que esas compañías no sigan poniendo los nombres a nombre de un manager, a nombre de un tercer amigo y no nos quieran pagar, porque eso es lo que hacen las compañías, ponen los a nombre de otras personas y no podemos cobrar nada. Y eso no es justo, que nuestra gente trabajando gratis, dando el sudor gratis, sin Si no quieren pagar, pues no empleen gente. Eso es todo. Y que pase la ley. ¿Qué queremos? ¿Ahora? ¿Cuándo? ¿Y cómo? Luchando. Poder popular, exacto.
Hola, yo me llamo Francisco Tecaizo de Visión Nice. I'll be translating for Silvia. My name is Francisco. I've been a member in NICE for 4 years. I had 2 wage staff cases, but because of NICE and the way they empower the community, I was able to gain my wage staff cases. I got that money back, but most of people in my community don't. We don't, and that's why we're here to fight for this law. We need this law to pass because they're exploiting us. They're taking advantage of us. They were hiring us without pay, without any benefits, and that is not right. We will not stand for that anymore. We need the sweat bill to pass now. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias, compañeros.
Okay, our next speaker is the Reverend Dr. Chloe Breyer, Executive Director of the Interfaith Center of New York.
Good morning. I'm here on behalf of the New York State Council of Churches, Peter Cook, also the Interfaith Center of New York, and St. Philip's Church in Harlem, where I am an associate Episcopal priest. The Interfaith Center works with hundreds of grassroots faith leaders from many different faith traditions. New York City is a place of people from all backgrounds and all faith traditions. We don't agree about everything. We're New Yorkers. But one thing we do agree upon is the importance of treating human beings with dignity. There is not a single religious tradition that does not say we must treat human beings with dignity. In my own tradition, it's because we believe we are made in God's image. We cannot be instruments of greed or of profit. For that reason, we are here today to ask the governor to pass sweat. Everyone say, let's pass sweat. 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 This is the least that we can do to make sure that the people of this city, no matter where they are from, are not exploited for their labor, but treated with dignity. So with that, I'd like to invite you to join in prayer. Let us pray. Grant, O God, that your holy and life-giving spirit may move every human heart in this city. That it may move the heart of the governor. That it may move the heart of those that we are electing. That it may move the heart of those who are exploiting us. And that it may move the heart of those who are stealing our wages. We ask these things, and we ask that the barriers which divide us may crumble, that suspicions disappear and hatred cease, that our divisions being healed we may live in justice and peace. Through your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Y a continuación, Sandra Mejía de Wash Supply Laundry Workers, miembro de Laundry Workers Center.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Sandra, soy miembro del Laundry Workers Center. Durante 2 años trabajé para Wash Supply Laundry Workers, que está ubicada en el Upper West Side de Manhattan. A lo largo de los años, las trabajadoras de la lavandería de Wash Supply sufrimos muchos casos de abuso condiciones de trabajo deplorables. La empresa no pagó el salario mínimo, ni las horas extras, ni los días de enfermedad pagados. Esta es una clara violación de la ley de los salarios y horas. Antes y durante de la pandemia, los empleados sufrimos malas condiciones de salud y seguridad. Trabajamos en un sótano sin ventilación, sin calefacción en invierno, sin salida de emergencia, sin equipo de protección personal, exposición al COVID, sin espacio de distanciamiento social, o incluso protocolos para la desinfección del lugar de trabajo por parte de la gerencia, obligados a comprar nuestro propio papel higiénico. El 25 de noviembre del 2020, durante la pandemia, las trabajadoras decidimos lanzar nuestra campaña organizativa. Los trabajadores exigimos mejores condiciones y entregamos una carta de demanda al empleador y que negocie con nosotras y devuelvan los salarios retenidos ilegalmente. El empleador no quiso negociar y nosotras las trabajadoras demandamos a la empresa. El empleador nunca respondió legalmente y no le importó. Los propietarios decidieron aprovechar el sistema. Después de que los trabajadores demandamos a la empresa y ganamos un sindicato independiente. El empleador cerró la lavandería, nos despidió a todas las trabajadoras y eliminó las máquinas como tenía en otras 4 ubicaciones con el nombre de Biocine. Cerraron una segunda ubicación y alquilaron otro espacio con otro nombre de la empresa. Además, el propietario decidió declararse en bancarrota. Para evitar responsabilidades, el caso continúa en la corte. Yo y mis 5 compañeras de trabajo pudimos ganar el caso por defecto, pero sabemos que sería un desafío hacer justicia y cobrar el dinero que ganamos y que el empleador robó. Las trabajadoras continuamos organizando y tomando acción directa.
My name is Sandra. I worked 2 years for Wash Supply Laundromat located in Upper West Side here in Manhattan. Over the years, Wash Supply laundry workers suffer many cases of abuse and deplorable working conditions. The company does not pay the minimum wage, no overtime, no paid sick days. This is a clear violation of the wage and hours law. Before and during the pandemic, employees suffered poor health and unsafety conditions. They had to work in a basement with lack of ventilation, with lack of heat in the winter, without emergency exits, and without personal protective equipment. During the pandemic, the workers was exposed to COVID with no space to social distancing, or even protocols for disinfection in the workplace by the management. The workers are forced to buy their own toilet paper. But finally, November 25th, during the pandemic, the workers decided to launch the organizing campaign. The workers demanded better conditions and in the same time with a letter asking to the employer to negotiate and return the illegally withheld wages. The employer did not want to negotiate and the workers sued the company in the court. The employer never responds to the legal case, and they don't care at all. The owners decide to take advantage of the system. After the workers sue the company and won an independent union to keep the right to negotiate for better conditions and, and better salaries, the employers close the laundry, lay off all the workers, and remove all the machines. Also, the company for another 4 locations with the name Leo Cleaner. And right now they are operating in another place with a different name. In addition, the owner decided to file bankruptcy to avoid liability. The case continues in the court. Sandra and her 5 co-workers may win the case by default, but they know it will be a challenge to do justice and collect the money. They want that employer stalled. Workers continue to organize and take direct action. That's why we are demanding past sweat. Thank you.
Okay, now we have the sweat bill sponsors. Senator Jessica Ramos and Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal.
All right, buenos días. Buenos días, mi gente. Good morning. We're here because we need to pass the sweat bill. And one of the things that I love most about this effort is what a beautiful, multicultural, multiracial coalition we are. We are Black, Latinx, Asian, and Indigenous people who employers continuously take advantage of. This has been tradition in New York for far too long, and we can't take it anymore. People need to be paid for every work, for every hour they've worked. The blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into building this city must be rightfully compensated, and that's why we're here for our money. We want our money, and we want an update to the labor law to make sure that there's a mechanism for us to get our money. Our money belongs on our streets in our community. Now, we've passed the sweat bill every year that I've been in the state senate. We're going to have to do it again this year. And this year, we want the governor to sign it and make it law here in New York. I'm so proud of every single one of you who so bravely have stepped up to share your stories about wage theft. It's unconscionable that employers think that it's okay to give a check that's going to bounce, to ignore overtime hours and not pay them, to perhaps even forget who it is that they employ and how long they've worked for you. It is completely unjust, and this way of doing business in New York needs to be a way of the past. That's why we need to pass the sweat bill as soon as possible and make it law this year. Brevemente en español, simplemente quiero compartir el orgullo que siento al ver una coalición tan multiétnica. Ver cómo los negros, los latinos, los asiáticos, los indígenas, todos nos reunimos a formar un grupo fuerte para luchar por nuestro dinero. El dinero que se han ganado los inmigrantes es para nuestras comunidades. Se nos debe nuestro dinero y nos tienen que dar nuestro dinero. Es por eso que estamos pidiendo una mejora para la ley laboral actual, porque necesitamos un mecanismo dentro de la ley para que cada neoyorquino pueda cobrar sus ingresos que se ha ganado con su trabajo, con su sudor, con todos los sacrificios que vienen con ser un inmigrante en esta ciudad. No podemos dejar que empleadores
pedimos al gobernador que ya, ojalá, volvamos a pasar esta ley en el Senado este año, que este año sí él la firme para ser ley y que terminemos esta tragedia, esta pesadilla para tantos inmigrantes aquí en el estado de Nueva York. Gracias. Thank you, Senator Ramos. I'm Assembly Member Linda B. Rosenthal, and I am the SWED sponsor in the New York State Assembly. And I have been for many, many years. Back with Saigon Grill, which a lot of you remember, the Saigon Grill was one of the most popular restaurants on the Upper West Side. And one of the reasons was not only was the food good, but the delivery workers got you the food within like 10 minutes of ordering. They were the quickest, they were the best. Later we find out that the owners were not paying them what they were owed. They took their tips. They made them pay for theft of bicycles, and they did not give them what they were owed. They went to court, they sued, they won, the owner went to jail and sold it to another owner who didn't pay the workers what the judge said they were owed. Now we see this happen time and time again. The workers are exploited. They are not paid what they worked to earn. The owner then goes out of business, bankruptcy, or changes the name, and you can never track them down. So the money and the judgment that you earn in court is not worth the piece of paper that it's written on. And this has been going on forever. Today we say, enough is enough. We passed this bill a couple of years ago. Senator Ramos and I, we celebrated, and then the governor vetoed the bill. The governor, who in the past has said that he was fighting for workers. Well, we need him to fight harder for workers. And one way is to pass the SWED bill again. And that is what we're going to do this year. Because despite the pandemic, the frontline and essential workers were the people who worked in the restaurants to keep people fed, the people who volunteered their time at food pantries and making food, who were once workers but were unemployed. Those are the same people we are fighting for. Their economic condition has just gotten worse during this pandemic. And the fact that there's $1 billion owed to workers from wage theft in New York State means that we have to pass the bill because it is about justice and it is about economics. Restaurants and other businesses do not get rich on the backs of workers while workers get nothing and struggle day to day. Some of the people here I've worked with for 10 years at least on this same issue. So we say 2021, it's the year, it's time. We're going to do it. And let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Rosenthal, Senator Ramos. All right. Próximo. La próxima es Laura Hernández, del Proyecto de Justicia Laboral.
Buenas tardes, compañeros. Mi nombre es María Laura Hernández. También el motivo que estoy aquí porque también he sido víctima de robos de salario. Entonces, por ese motivo estoy aquí, que nos escuche el gobernador. También he sido víctima como muchas más y siguen siendo víctimas. Hay robos todavía, el asesinato de un compañero y pues eso duele. Yo creo como hermanos somos todos, no, aquí no hay color, no hay religión, aquí todos somos hermanos, tenemos que estar unidos porque sufrimos lo mismo. Entonces
ustedes estoy aquí para decirles que yo también estoy apoyando para que el gobernador haga la ley. Firme la ley.
I'll be providing translation. She says, "Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Maria Laura Hernandez, and I'm here to talk to you about myself. I am also a victim of wage theft cases, like many of my brothers and sisters out there, and it's still happening right now. Wage theft cases and murders even, like Francisco Villalba, who was murdered, who was delivering food, and he was shot. So I'm here to talk about that. I'm here to provide my support so that the governor can sign the SWEP bill."
Gracias, compañeros. ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto? Ok, ahora tenemos a la compañera Cristina Lewis de Domestic Workers United. Bienvenida.
So let me just sing this song for you before I start to expound. I went down to the governor's house, took back what he stole from me. I took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Well, I came down to the governor's house, took back what he stole from me. I took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Well, he's under my feet, 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 under my feet. They gonna let no system walk all over me. Yeah? Well, I came down to the governor's house, took back what he stole from me. I took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Well, I came down to the governor's house and I took back what he stole from me. I took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Well, he's under my feet. Where? Under my feet. Where? Under my feet. Under my feet. Ain't gonna let no system walk all over us. So on behalf of Domestic Workers United, I'm here to say, it's us, the workers, the mighty, mighty workers, the mighty, mighty workers who are cutting down big trees. We're women, we're immigrants, we're men. We're making, is somebody translating? I'm kind of going a little fast. Yes, so we're domestic workers. We're low-wage workers. But we make this economy run. Hello, we make this economy run. We do it by any means necessary. Forsaking our children. Taking care of kids and kin on plantations at Easy Street. Hello.
Buenas tardes, compañeros y compañeras. Vengo de la Alianza de Trabajadoras Domésticas y vengo a pedir mi dignidad de parte del gobernador. Quiero que se nos dé lo que es de nosotros, ¿verdad? Hacemos esta ciudad correr, cuidamos a lo que son nuestros hijos, pero también los hijos de los demás y cuidamos sus hogares.
And we stand in solidarity. There's a saying on the island that say, when your neighbor's house is on fire, wet yours.
Y bueno, tenemos un dicho en las islas de donde vengo, cuando una casa está en fuego, los vecinos también es la tuya.
Because they exploit me today, they're going to exploit you tomorrow. It's just a matter of time.
Porque estamos aquí en solidaridad, porque si hoy los explotan a ustedes hoy, mañana seré yo. Entonces estamos aquí luchando por todos nosotros.
And let me just say, when you fight, you win. It seems like it's a long journey. It's tedious, but we'll be back, we'll be back, we'll be back.
Y les quiero decir, compañeras y compañeros, que cuando peleamos, ganamos. Eso es lo que esta lucha significa, pelear y ganar y tomar lo que es de nosotros.
y regresaremos más fuertes.
My brothers and sisters, there's a price of freedom, and it's constant. And as it's constant, the wheels on the bus will go round and round, and we'll continue to go round and round until Governor Cuomo passes this sweat bill. And together we stand in solidarity with each other.
Y esta pelea es larga y dura, pero eso es necesario, estar constantemente en acción y en protesta. Y estaremos aquí hasta que el gobernador firme la ley y nos regrese lo que es de nosotros.
And all we ask for is respect. All we ask for is some respect and passing this sweat bill. Thank you.
Y lo que estamos pidiendo es básico, es respeto. Y lo que queremos es que pasen esta ley. Muchísimas gracias. Ok, bueno, ahora tenemos a Daniel Vila de Sisa Pacari.
Cerca lo de Sisa, pero es Sisa Pacari, Centro Cultural y Laboral. Y un abracito. It's the Sisa Pacari Cultural and Labor Center, and we have been fighting wage theft for well over 20 years. Well over 20 years out in Queens, Roosevelt Avenue, on between 67 and 68th Street. And one thing that we have, first of all, I want to thank everybody who was here. Really solidarity, for real, for real. And I also want to thank the Anti-Waste Theft Coalition, the SWIFT Coalition, for their fantastic work. They are the only ones that pretty much force us all to get together. And a united spirit like that is very uncommon in New York City, where everything is about identity politics, right? This is about working people, and this is really, really important. One of the few groups that really work around working class issues. So we support that seriously. Very quickly, in terms of Sisa Pacari, before last year's pandemic, I'm coordinator of labor affairs at Sisa Pacari, about 1 or 2 cases a week of people who were victims of waste theft. Since the pandemic, since this whole situation, which I also call the global depression number 2, Great Depression number 2, because as we know, there's some 40 million Americans. When I say Americans, that doesn't count the undocumented. There's about 10 million more undocumented that are unemployed in this country. There's an economic crash. And over this last year, I'm getting now about 1 or 2 cases a day of waste theft. And in fact, I was supposed to go yesterday with a lady who is undocumented to protest in front of her former employer who owes her $1,500 who does not want to pay her the $1,500. She didn't go. Why? Basically, I know why. She's afraid. She's undocumented. See, this is the main situation we have here. It is greatly, most of the victims of waste theft are undocumented people. And or people that are, immigrants into this country. At this point in New York City, it doesn't mean that it's the same way nationally. In any case, in Sisa Pacari, we definitely see the difference. There is an dramatic increase in waste theft. Rapidito, en Sisa Pacari hemos observado un dramático aumento pero que increíble del robo salarial. Antes yo recibía como coordinador laboral de Sisa Pacari más o menos 1 o 2 casos a la semana de víctimas de robo salarial. Ahora estamos recibiendo 1 y 2 casos diariamente. Y ayer precisamente teníamos una manifestación con una compañera que es indocumentada y cogió miedo, francamente. Pero me llamó después, se disculpó y vamos a tratar de ir el lunes que viene. Pero el punto es que le deben $1,500 y los patronos saben muy bien lo que hacen. Buscan a personas que son indocumentadas para después que esa persona le dicen le vamos a deportar, vamos a llamarle la migra. Y no vamos a soportar eso, así que le pedimos a este gobernador Cabezón que acabe de aprobar esta ley. Thank you very much. Gracias.
Bueno, con esto decir, ¿verdad? Hemos escuchado las historias y los mensajes de nuestros políticos, ¿verdad? Hoy en día tenemos que salir, cada uno de nosotros tenemos que empezar a educar a nuestros vecinos, en nuestras iglesias, a nuestros políticos, llamarles, ¿verdad? Y hacerles saber que tienen que pasar Sweat Bill ahora, ¿verdad? Y todos tienen que firmar la petición para mandarle al gobernador Cuomo que todos estamos luchando con Sweat Bill. ¿Qué vamos a hacer ahora? Salir a luchar a las calles y a denunciar el abuso de robo de salario. ¿Ok? ¿Se puede? Sí. ¿Se puede? Sí. Ok. Con esto voy a pasar a Joan. Gracias.
Okay, we're going to wrap up our program for today, but now, as Gonzalo says, we got to go out.
you're an independent contractor or whatever and cheated. So we need to that in mind about all of us. It affects each and every one of us. Because even if we're not facing wage stuff now, if our boss knows that other people are cheating workers, they're going to push our wages down. So, all right, onward. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuándo? Bueno, con esto pasamos al compañero.
，OK，我就总结一下哈，今天呢都是有各行各业的工人，有这些护理工人、餐馆工人啊、洗衣店的、家政工人等等，他们也纷纷今天站出来，要表示反对这个工资道歉。我们现在有联合很多团体，包括这些刚刚有发言的那些牧师啊、工人代表，还有这个众议员、参议员，他们都纷纷出来要求这个州长现在要通过这个法案。我们现在呢大家也看到很多人呢不光是什么有证移民、无证移民，你公民也好，大家都是面对一样的问题，甚至有工会的，很多护理工人都有工会的，也是一样，你做24小时只能拿到13个工资，13块钱的工资，你将来想要拿回钱的话，他们可以照样改名字、假破产、假关门都可以用。所以我们今天来呢，要通过这个SWAT法案，对不对？我们要什么？SWAT，什么时候要
？Okay, thank you everybody. So we'll see one another more, right? We'll get this done this year. No more wage theft. No more wage theft. No more wage theft.
Ok, pues vamos a seguir mandándole un mensaje al gobernador, ¿verdad? Que se enfoque en Sweat Bill. ¿Y qué le vamos a decir? ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? Ok, bueno, queremos darle las gracias a todos y pues si tienen algunas preguntas, aquí está Joan para responder algunas preguntas también sobre Sweat Bill. If you have any questions, here to answer some questions.
Very quickly, there's going to be an activity at May Day, which is of course Saturday this year, May 1st, at Union Square Park. It'll be at about 1 p.m. And we're going to open up with a cultural presentation from Cesar Bacari Cultural Center. And hopefully the Sweat Coalition, the Anti-Wage Theft Coalition will be present, many of you also. That'll be on May 1st, and it'll be on a Saturday this year. Thank you.
Okay, gracias